In 2023, as the Shibuya Incident Arc of JJK S2 Season 2 started airing, the world got to witness one of the most highly rated and beautifully animated shows ever, alongside a new theme song that became just as iconic as the anime itself, SPECIALZ by King Gnu. It is one of the fastest Japanese songs ever to reach 100 million streams, and became King Gnu's most popular song to date. But it was also used in a certain scene from the anime, which sparked discussions about the showrunner's artistic choice, and kind of got turned into a meme. In this video, I'm going to talk about the creative process behind SPECIALZ, why it is one of the most villainous, evil anime songs ever, and break down some of its ingenious lyrics that even include hidden codes. As I mentioned in my ISO breakdown video, this was King Gnu's third collaboration with JJK S2, following the immensely successful Zero movie, where they released Ichizu and Sakayume. It was also King Gnu's songwriter, main vocal, and guitarist, Tsuneta Daiki's third anime tie-in in the span of a year, as he was the co-producer of Kickback from Chainsaw Man alongside Yonezu Kenshi, and the co-songwriter of Work from Hell's Paradise alongside Shina Ringo, as part of his Millennium Parade project. With ISO from JJK S2 Season 3, Tsuneta Daiki stated that it was made with barely any influence from the anime, and was an amazing fit for the show, largely thanks to the band and JJK S2 sharing a similar vibe. Kind of like how it just makes sense to have Arctic Monkeys and Peaky Blinders. For him, even tie-ins don't take away the fact that, fundamentally, the song has to be theirs. He doesn't want to perform an anime song at their concert and feels disconnected from it. The song's lyrics shouldn't have to literally reflect the anime story. As long as the theme and worldview are fitting, he doesn't see why it has to be limited. And since they're a band, he's also conscious about maintaining a level of realism in the song. So one thing that Tsuneta always looks for when writing an anime song is to find the sweet spot for a balanced distance between the band's identity and the anime, which means they're never out of place as a King Gnu song nor as an anime song. However, unlike Aizo, Tsuneta took a lot more inspiration from the anime this time around, as SPECIALZ has more connections and references to JJK S2 compared to its counterpart from Season 3. A huge reason is that the Shibuya incident is a chapter where the villain stole the spotlight. Tsuneta has said that he thinks Gojo and people like Shohei Ohtani, who radiate main character energy, are way too cool for someone with a more villainous appearance and aura like himself. So, seeing his favorite character, Mahito, thriving in Shibuya, in the battle that pushed both him and Itadori to the edge, was exhilarating. Plus, not just in JJK S2, anime in general doesn't have a lot of songs that are sung from a villain's point of view, so he also wanted to take this opportunity to create something different. And that's why, even though musically you still have the King Gnu signature duet between the two main vocals and Tsuneta's guitar, the samples, riffs, production, and progression just ooze a sense of villainous wickedness, creating a magnetic field with a different flavor of badass than their usual music. Now let's move on to the lyrics. The song begins with one of the most famous lines from all of anime songs, "You are my special." Obviously, the song's popularity contributed heavily to that. But the more infamous reason is that it was played during what was supposed to be an excruciatingly heavy scene, which led to debates about the creative choice and the trend of people playing SPECIALZ at all sorts of inappropriate timings. As I mentioned before, Tsuneta does not want to limit the lyrics to simple storytelling, but rather aims to complement the anime's overarching theme. So even though "You Are My Special" is likely inspired by how Mahito sees Itadori or Nanamin, it also fits Geto/Kenjaku and the curse's obsession with Gojo, and Sukuna's obsession with Fushiguro, and his more sadistic obsession with Itadori. That's why, lyrically, it does make a bit of sense for SPECIALZ to be played during the scene of Itadori's utmost devastation. Although I'm still not a fan of that direction, despite the song functioning as a triumphant anthem for Sukuna and the villains. But I suppose if that's the creator and showrunner's intention to spark this kind of a reaction, they definitely succeeded. In the first and second verses, the three lines that include the term kiwa kiwa are the backbone of the entire song. Kiwa means on the edge, and kiwa kiwa means on the extreme edge, which is a term possibly never seen in Japanese music. Imawa no kiwa kiwa de odorimashou. Imawa no kiwa is the moment between life and death, and with kiwa kiwa it becomes an instant between life and death. But instead of approaching it with solemnity, the villain thinks it's to be celebrated and danced upon, kind of like the fights between Mahito and Itadori from both seasons 1 and 2, where both of them danced on the edge of death and reached new heights. Ojo giwa no kiwa kiwa de agakimashou. Ojo giwa in modern Japanese is often used to indicate a positive or negative attitude toward giving up or loss. A bad ojo giwa is like being a sore loser or refusing to yield at the proper moment. So adding agakimashou, which means let's struggle, shows the villain's mentality when facing inevitable defeat, as perfectly illustrated by Mahito's actions when he lost to Itadori. And in the second verse, Dohyogiwa no kiwa de kotaemashou. Dohyogiwa is the edge of the sumo ring. If you step out, you lose. So it also means being in the pinch. Kotaemashou means let's endure. So the line is very straightforward. Let's endure at the edge of the ring. These three lines really set the tone for the entire song. Living a life on the absolute edge of defeat and death, which reminds me of another anime, is precisely the kind of adrenaline rush Tsuneta was hoping to evoke with SPECIALZ. In the pre-chorus, usually I skip over English lyrics when analyzing, but I Love You Baby is actually a hidden code that you wouldn't notice unless you read the lyrics, because it's stylized like this. If you morph 6A 6Y into 6AY, you can pronounce it as 6I, a reference to one of Gojo's powers. Moving on to the chorus, we see a change in kanji similar to what I discussed in the Aizo video. Ishomei Kyukayu Rendezvous. The Kayu you see is the exact same term as Shime's Kayu, the calling game from Season 3. Here, Tsuneta also changed the Kai to the same kanji as the Kai from Jujutsu Kaisen. The same applies to Uyamuya na Mama, Mawaru Sekai. The kanji for Mawaru, similar to the wordplay we saw in Aizo, is also changed to the Kai from Jujutsu Kaisen. The second verse is really interesting. Obviously, I've already talked about the first line, but by adding the second line, the chaos or turmoil around the Tokyo metro, with the knowledge of it being a Jujutsu Kaisen song, it naturally fits the disaster that's happening in Shibuya. But even as a standalone track, the images of people living on the edge and the chaos around the Tokyo metro are very realistic. The following lines are probably the most King Gnu part of the song. Blood rushing in the mass media like Bloodshot. Calm and detached are forbidden. It's well established that King Gnu has strong thoughts about mass media, and they don't shy away from social commentary. Journalism is supposed to be informative, objective, and be as close as agenda-free as possible, which is the complete opposite of how they're portrayed here. When Tsuneta talked about finding the perfect distance between King Gnu and anime, while maintaining a level of realism, the lyrics of the second verse are exactly what he meant. We also got another hidden code in the bridge. Get Lost in Me is stylized with numbers. 10 and 31 is October 31st, also known as Halloween, and the day the Shibuya incident took place. Plus, 10 in Japanese can be read as to, so you also get a reference to Geto. Throughout the song, many of the lyrics feel conversational, like a villain speaking intimately to their counterpart, which has a dynamic very similar to that of Joker and Batman in The Dark Knight. So finally, in the post-chorus, the lyrics shift from "You are my special" to "We are special." Whether the sentiments are actually reciprocated or not, the two of them indeed pushed each other to the absolute extreme. Aside from the fact that SPECIALZ is simply an incredible piece of music, it also accomplished exactly what Tsuneta set out to do: create a song with a beautiful balance between King Gnu and Jujutsu Kaisen. The theme of dancing, struggling, and enduring at the extreme edge of life and death, or success and failure, is not just the mental state of the characters in the Shibuya incident, but also that of common folks working under tremendous stress in Tokyo or anywhere in the world. And the iconic "You are my special" makes perfect sense within the context of Jujutsu Kaisen, but even without it, while it may not be a common phrase, the sentiment is still beyond anime. No matter whether you think the song was played at the right moment or not, there's no denying that SPECIALZ matched the energy of the Jujutsu Kaisen Shibuya Incident Arc amazingly, and it is one of the most popular, villainous, evil, and badass anime songs ever. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. You can find more anime songs and J-pop videos on my YouTube channel, or on my Patreon, where I upload videos that were affected by copyrights. This has been Cushion. See you next time.